What if I told you that David did not only kill Goliath with a stone? Tell, what do you mean? The Bible says that he took a stone and slayed Goliath with it. He did. But what if I told you that that wasn't the only weapon of choice? When you go here to Samuel, you'll see this. Then David put in his hand in his bag and took out a stone. And he slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead, so that the stone sank into his forehead. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. Now keep reading. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of his sheath, and killed him, and cut off his head with it. The stone started the process of death. The sword finished it. And it wasn't just anybody's sword. It was Goliath's sword, which is ironic, because Saul was going to give David his own armory to take to fight Goliath, and David couldn't fit it. David just went out as he was. David wasn't supposed to follow in Saul's footsteps as such. That's the bigger symbolic picture of it. But then turned right around, and when he killed Goliath, he didn't have his own sword. So he took Goliath's sword and slayed him with it. So he wouldn't take Saul's sword. Felt uncomfortable wearing Saul's stuff because it wasn't made for him. But turned right around and used the enemy's sword to kill the enemy. God was supernaturally telling David, your provision wasn't going to come from man in the sense of Saul, the one who was over you. It's going to come from me, and I'm going to deliver my enemies and your enemies into your hand. The very thing that Goliath would use to go after other people is the very thing that God used through David to judge Goliath. Many times you're seeking for other people to help you, when God's like, no, I'm going to help you myself. And not only am I going to help you, I'm going to cause your very enemies to give unto you in their form of judgment for coming against you. And they're going to have to do it. They're not going to have any other choice. Let's take it one more step further. Saul's armor and sword weren't comfortable to David, so David went to battle without it. And God utilized Goliath's own sword against himself by giving it to David to slay Goliath with, which was prophetic foreshadowing to David's rise into kingship. Because the very one that tried to give him his armor, Saul, would chase him around and torment him consistently. And Goliath was a part of David's learning process, which also prepared David for having to trust God in the midst of King Saul trying to kill him. But it's also ironic because King Saul that tried to kill David also eventually died and was judged by God by his own sword and falling on it. Goliath died by his own sword while coming at David, and Saul died by his own sword while disobeying God and coming at David. Don't play with God's anointed. Hit follow for more. If you want to learn about breaking the spirit of poverty, how to access the provision that God has for you, exploring the Joseph strategy and saving, investing, and managing during times of famine and overflow, we're doing a 3-day class at the end of the month. Click the link in my story or bio to join.